some Indian guy doing it in a video. Isn't YouTube one of the greatest resources? So I'm also going to take off the dried out root ends of the garlic. So we'll call that 2 cloves, because she did say 5 fatties. Whoops. Missed. I don't know how I whiff at that distance. Just kind of cutting off a little dry bit on that one. Oh, you know what it is? I think that's actually 2 cloves. Is it? No, it's not. It just has a dry center. Get rid of all that. There's Barbie. Get a bullet blender. That would be fantastic. I have a feeling if I had one of those bullet blenders that you stick into the thing and just blend it in place, that I'd make a mess a lot of the time. All right, so then we've got our garlic in there. We need our ginger and how much of the tamarind paste? So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in the refrigerator after we get it. So 1 tablespoon of tamarind paste. Let's see how we open up this thing. This is interesting looking, isn't it? It looks like, I don't know, like, it kind of looks like Vegemite. Like if you left Vegemite out to dry. Or if you took Fig Newtons and you just took out the gooey center of Fig Newtons. That's interesting. I don't know how I'm going to get 1 tablespoon of it. This is an interesting way to package it. Huh, what is it? It must come from some kind of a grape-like thing. It doesn't say. It just says product of Thailand. Ingredients, tamarind, and salt. Who's got their Wikipedia handy? Is a tamarind something like a grape or a fig? Because it has that consistency. I'd say more like a fig. It's super sticky. Or a prune, you know, like a dried out prune. I think this is probably more than I need, but. No, the coconut is going into the, break off a little piece of that. I don't know how you're supposed to measure that very precisely. I'm going to go a little heavy on that. The coconut is actually going into this vindaloo. Barbie, is it dates? I could see it being dates. It's like a sweet and tangy. Yeah, it's very tangy. Wow, I've never had that before. Have you guys ever had this before? Tamarind? I hope I'm saying that right. Tamarind. I can see why they use it in Southern barbecue here in the United States. Hey, cat. Welcome back. Yeah, that's good stuff. I want to make some barbecue with that. I'm going to get another one of those pork shoulders like we did for the carnitas. That's tasty stuff. Wow. It's also very sticky. All right, so our ginger, I guess I didn't get the ginger out. Let's see, I'm gonna call that, that looks just right. That's about a 2-inch section of ginger. It's definitely starting to turn though. Oh wow, this knife is so sharp. That's crazy. So you guys have probably seen this trick from me before. I don't think we have any new attendees, but this was from one of those little Jamie Oliver quick tips. You know, ginger, fresh ginger is kind of pricey by the pound. So if you use your spoon, the edge of your spoon, to peel the skin, it saves a lot more of the flesh than using a knife or even a potato peeler. And that makes sense that you would want to save the flesh, because here in the States, I think the cheapest I found it is $1.99 a pound at the Asian market. And at my local supermarket, it's more like $3.99 a pound. I'm just going to cut this nubbin off. Little nubbin. Vindaloo is normally tomato-based. Odd to add coconut. Huh. I don't know. You probably know more about Indian cooking than I do. This lady's recipe looked really good. Maybe she's doing like a southern India style or a northern style, whereas like what we get here in the Western world is maybe some other specific to some other part of India. I'm just trying to get rid of the parts that aren't as fresh. And again, I'm going to help out my weak little blender just by doing a little, I don't want to lose too much of the juices that are going to come out of this ginger. But I don't have a $300 Vitamix. I got a cheapy thrift store special blender. Isn't that special? So I gotta help it out. That'll make it last longer. I have a feeling that you're right about that coconut. If it's gonna be recognizable, I think it's gonna be very subtle, because all of this stuff is a pretty strong flavor so far. All right, so we've got, I think we're almost ready to blend this paste up here. Okay, we still need the coconut, and then that's going to be, where's our, God, this list of, what did we say it was? 21 different ingredients? This list is so long that I've got to like keep scrolling back up to see. I think it was 1 tablespoon of coconut. 1.5. All right, good to know. So even with, I'm having to wash some of my measuring spoons here. So in the case of a recipe that calls for 21 different ingredients, even if you've got 2 sets of measuring spoons, it's not going to be enough. All right. Yeah, this looks it looks more moist than the typical grated coconut in the bakery aisle at my supermarket. I'm just going to approximate this. I'm going to say that's about 2.5. And the other thing is I think it's probably less likely that this has the additives, like the preservatives that they would have to use for those dry packaged. I did it for the spicy. That's all right, Lepunkist. I'm glad you're able to make it in. So we're still making the base here. We're making our vindaloo paste. So here's our fresh curry leaves going in. But yeah, let's see. Does this say it has? This says ingredients: coconut, frozen and packed while fresh. May contain tree nut. Well, the coconut is a tree nut. It does contain it. Made in a facility that processes wheat. So this doesn't have any of those. Oh, what are some of those like kind of preservatives that they typically have to put in dry packaged things? You know what I'm talking about. All those chemical names. So it has that benefit, I suppose. And it also saved me a trip to the grocery store because that Indian market had it right there. So Lepunkist, what we were just talking about, not just talking about, at the start we were talking about going to your local Indian or Pakistani grocer because they have a lot of things that your typical Tesco or supermarket, I forget what the supermarket chain up in Canada is. The biggest one here in the States is Kroger. And I know for Kat and the other Europeans, it's Tesco. But getting actual curry leaves, this recipe says, if you can't get them, don't try and substitute anything else for them. Because they have a unique flavor. And it's different than the decorative curry plant that a lot of people like put out on their patio. What is the big grocery chain in Canada? There he is, Mr. Canada. You probably don't know that song. This is horrible. For American beauty pageants, they sing this song. Oh, Lepunkist. I was asking earlier if your version of Sesame Street, the Canadian version of Sesame Street when you were a kid, if they did the number song with the pinball machine animation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Did they have that on your Sesame Street when you were a kid? Okay, so what she's saying is go ahead and blend this to a smooth paste. You can add 1 to 2 more tablespoons of water if you need it, but do not make a very runny paste. So we're going to give this a shot. I'm going to go ahead and mute the mic here. It's stupid in Quebec we have 3 or 4 big chains. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, you know what? So Lepunkist, you're probably bilingual, but I went up to Montreal, you know, like I can't remember how long it was, but it wasn't that shortly after I had graduated from high school. I was up in Montreal and I was at the grocery store and I stupidly tried to resurrect my high school French. And so like I had most of the transaction in French. And then at the end, she asked me something and I asked her, oh, I'm sorry, can you please repeat that? And so she repeated it. And then I said, you know, again in French, like, oh, can you repeat that more slowly? And she finally just got fed up and she said, you know, like in Quebec, everyone has these, or at least in Montreal, everyone has perfect like Canadian English accents. She's like, I just asked you if you wanted a bag for this. I bet they get that a lot where like American tourists come up to Montreal and want to try and speak French. Oh, so it's not just Tesco, huh, Fotech? When I was in Scotland, Tesco was the only one that I came across. But I was only in Scotland for 2 weeks, so it's not surprising that I didn't come across those other chains. All right, I'm going to mute this.